Hi everyone. Are you ready for our new topic? It's also related with the pyramids. We have been talking before about the slaves built the pyramids, and we explained in details that like slaves didn't build the pyramids. But I got some questions from some friends, some religious people who were asking me, what about the Hebrews? The Hebrews, according to the religious books, they were in Egypt, working, living, and being used as slaves. So some old information, some old stories were always talking that the Hebrews built the pyramids when they were slaves in Egypt. So is that true? Let's see. We're going to try to make this very simple for everyone, but I want you to make sure about a very important point. We're not talking here about a religious story. We are just talking about a historical event, okay? But our problem is that the only source about this question is the religious books. So our story here, did Hebrews participated in the pyramid constructions as slaves or not? Our answer is no. So we're going to go through this in details, bit by bit, and I want you to follow. The official story about the Hebrews in Egypt starts with a man. His name is Prophet Abraham. Prophet Abraham is considered the father of the religions, or the father of the very well-known religions, because he was the first one to believe in God's promise when the God ordered him to go wander in the desert, and he promised him that he will be a big nation, he and his sons. So the Prophet Abraham did obey the God, and he went wandering in the desert. And later on, the God gave Prophet Abraham two sons. The first one is called Isaac, and the second one is called Ishmael. We're gonna go with Isaac as a start. Isaac got a son. His name is Jacob. Jacob is actually Israel, and Jacob got 12 sons. One of them was called Joseph. Joseph was sold by his other brothers to the Egyptians as a slave. So he came to Egypt as a slave. Later on, Joseph became the second after the Pharaoh of Egypt. He became the prince of Egypt. Then starvation happened. So his other brothers who sold him before, they came to Egypt asking for food. But actually, Joseph forgave them and he welcomed them, and they started to live in Egypt for the first time with their sons, with all of their belongings, with Joseph's father Jacob and everyone as a royal class, not as slaves, because their brother Joseph was the second after the king. Later on, Joseph actually died, and the Pharaoh who loved Joseph died. So the conditions of the Hebrews start to be go worse, and they start to be treated as slaves in Egypt till the God arranged another plan to save his own people. The God's plan started with a baby had been found in a basket floating on the Nile by the daughter of the Pharaoh, and this baby was called Moses. Moses became the prince of Egypt after he was just a Hebrew baby. And after a long time, Moses got ordered by the God to take his people and lead them out of Egypt. And Moses did this, and we know the story about splitting the Red Sea, and later on Moses got the 10 commandments from the God, and he started the official Judaism. After the Hebrews left Egypt, we found that King David appeared, then later on Jesus appeared, and the Christians. That's why we consider the Prophet Abraham the father of all the very well-known religions, because from his first son, Isaac, we got the Judaism, then later on we got the Christianity. So what about the third biggest religion in the world, which is Islam? This came from his other son, the Prophet Abraham, other son was called Ishmael. So that's why we consider Prophet Abraham is the top of the pyramid, and if we follow the two sides, we will find that he was the father of all the religions. So, what is the point? Back to the historical stories. Why we were talking about all of these religious points? Because the Prophet Abraham, actually, according to most of the studies, was born after the pyramid construction was 600 years. So there was no one but the Egyptians existed at that time. That's impossible. Plus, the same people who claim that the Hebrews were participating in the pyramid construction as slaves are the same people who claim that Rameses II was a pharaoh of the Exodus, and actually Ramses II was almost 1200 years after that time, after the pyramids time. And at that time of Ramses II, Egyptians actually were using another destination called the Valley of the Kings to bury their own people. There was no pyramid. So when you see a movie like Gods and Kings for Christian Bale, or like the Ten Commandments, and see the Hebrews working in the pyramid construction, that's actually impossible. Historically, that can't be true. So, who is the pharaoh of the Exodus? No one knows. So if someone told you that like Ramses II is a pharaoh of the Exodus, most of the studies, most of the official studies, which is try to link Ramses II with the pharaoh of the Exodus, that actually failed. So all these stories confirm that it didn't happen in Ramses II time, but like actually the people are using the most famous name of the ancient Egyptian kings to link it with the stories in order to build their own case. But this is not true. Ramses II is not the pharaoh of the Exodus, and no one can confirm till this moment who was the pharaoh of the Exodus. There's another new studies, but none have a clear official historical evidence. So all of it is just built on religious stories. I hope that I could make this very simple for you guys, and if you like the video, please, as a kind of support, if you would like to subscribe to my channel and share this information with your friends to watch the next videos which is coming.